Hey guys, it's Lazy, and as we're about to hit the 30,000 subscriber specials, I just want to say thank you seriously for all the support. Now, for this milestone, I'm bringing back one of my favorite builds from 0.2, the Triple Recoup Immortal AFK Ritualist. It's a mouthful, I know, but this build changes in 0.3, and for better or for worse, and in my opinion, it's actually stronger now. In 0.3, Giant Blood Keystone was nerfed, so inherent life from Strength is now half. Also, block was changed, so we are no longer getting the glancing blow by pathing south from our starting location. Now, what it means is that we'll have to change our pathing, change our itemizations, and I'll get into that in this video. But anyway, what is this build? So the idea is simple. For the defensive layers, we are stacking massive amount of regens. We run a triple recoup setups by recouping life, energy shields, and mana. We treat all three as our effective HP, and that's what let you fully AFK and tank everything. On top of that, we are using a timeless jewel that is added in 0.3, and it is insanely strong. Now, this is called the Undying Hate, and it converts all of the passive and keystone in the radius into a different kind of keystone and passives. The roles of this doesn't really matter, but you want to get one with the tributes to Amanamu so you can get the Keystone Sacrifice of Flesh. When taking damage from hits, 20% of life loss is prevented, and then you take a dot for 150% of life loss over 4 seconds. Now, because we are playing a recoup build and we have tons of regen, this is completely free for us, and it's just a flat 20% damage mitigations, which will upgrade into our build. But just being able to tank is not enough. We need a mechanics for us to passively or fully AFK and clear the wave. And to do that, we have 3 ways for us to deal damage, all AFK. Now, the first thing here is that we are using a new shrine scepters called Guiding Palm of the Heart, which give you the meteoric shrines. This is one of the offensive shrines that you could get on 0.2 when you are using the two-handed mace. But that mace no longer granted any damaging shrine, so we don't need to use that anymore. So this shrine buff will rain down the meteors, as you can see in the background. This will help us clean up anything tanky that is left, bosses, rares, or whatever managed to survive the initial chain reactions from the corrupted blood, which come from 2 sources. So the first source is the blood barrier, which is our shield. This gives corrupted blood and it deals damage based on your max life, which means that this will be the first source to deal damage to the monster. And once the monster is dead, we have the second source of corrupted blood, which comes from Blood Boil. Now keep in mind that Blood Boil by itself do not do any single target damage. You can see here, enemies in your presence accumulate Blood Boils periodically, so this is like a debuff and it does not apply corrupted blood by itself. So whenever the enemy is actually dead, the corrupted blood is gonna pop and it's gonna apply to surrounding enemies, which means that you can create a chain reaction this way. And that is the core concept of the build. If you understand the concept, you will understand that in order to fight boss in Simulacrum, which is usually the problem for this build because we don't have any sort of single target damage or reliable source of single target damage. I'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, the main way for you to kill boss will be to drag the little monster into the boss, and that way the strongest source of corrupted blood will be able to apply on the boss, which means that they will die a lot faster. Now, I did say that this is an AFK build, so you technically don't have to do that and you still can kill boss, but it's one of the way for you to speed things up. So if you are just AFK watching a show, you can at least do that for wave 14 or 15, which is when the boss usually spawn and they have a lot of HP. And yeah, you can still kill the boss without the corrupted blood from the meteoric shrines, so you don't have to worry about it too much. But we do have weapon swap setups, which I'll show a bit later, to deal with the pesky rare with regens. Now, if you have played this build before, you know the main issues is with Kosis. And Kosis has a channeling skills that you can see he's doing here right now. It's basically give him a bunch of ES, and we have to go through the ES pool first before we get to damage him. And most often, if you don't have enough single target damage, he's just gonna keep channeling that ES skills over and over again, which means we just cannot finish the fight. But it's not a problem here because we have a rare monster which I'm gonna swap to my weapon set 2 to do the single target damage to kill the rare, which will pop a very strong Corrupted Blood because it's based on the monster maximum life. So yeah, 10 stack, easily kill the boss. And also, loot in Simulacrum is quite good as well, so you can AFK and make great money. Alright, so what am I doing for the single target damage? Now, I have tried several different setups. The first thing I tried was the Last Lament, and I think Last Lament worked pretty well, but I got a little bit annoying because you have to kind of not get hit when you are channeling the Requiem, because if you get hit, it's gonna interrupt and cancel out Requiem by itself, so you have to wait another 30 seconds. What I'm doing right now is weapon swap into Chantumbre and Stoic Scepters, which add +6 to all minion skills. These are relatively also quite cheap, so it's not really a problem. This is so that I could use the Infernal Legion setups with the Bogfelled Commoner, which is something I saw on Park's video, but also was discovered by Oskrick, if I remember correctly. Now with this tech, your minion's gonna have a bunch of life, and we are using Bogfelled Commoner to do the damage based on Infernal Legions. And I will show you guys how to capture this exact Spectre a little bit later. But yeah, this is kind of fits in the theme. We just kind of swap weapons. We still don't use any button at all. Just AFK swap weapons, and you summon these specters that is burning, and when they are burning down, you can just kind of AFK as well, and they will do the damage for you. Certified, lazy, and good way to AFK do damage. Now, why do we pick the Ritualist for our AFK build? It's very simple, because of Blood Boy. Now, you can do this on many other class. You can play with Thorn, you can play with Wind Dancers and stuff like that. But Blood Boy is the ultimate tool for AoE clear in Simulacrums when everything is clumped up together and you're just standing there and tanking everything. This is because the Corrupted Blood gonna stack and it deals damage based on percentage of slain enemies, so it's gonna do a lot more damage than the other traditional methods in terms of AFK. So Blood Boy is very strong, and if you don't have this, again, you're gonna have to rely on maybe Blood Barriers, the Meteoric Shrines, Thorn, Wind Dancers, which none are as good in terms of killing boss and effectiveness in Simulacrum. Secondly, we have Wildwood Persistent, which is also a very interesting node. A lot of people underlook this node, but this one grants 10% life recovery rate per 5% missing unreserved life. So this was actually buffed in 0.3. So now we have a lot more life recovery rates. And by what rate mean is that when you take damage and you recoups, it affects your recoup speed as well, because it counts as regens, and life recovery rate is a multiplier, so it's a lot stronger than the increased life regeneration rate. And lastly, we have Unfair Finger and Mystic Attunement, and these are like the iconic notes for the Ritualist Ascendancies. Everyone know it's kind of strong, and it gives you 3 rings, which means it's a lot easier for you to cap your elemental resistance, but also it's a lot easier for you to get stuff like maximum life, mana, which is what we need, and it also buffs your amulet as well. So yeah, on the amulets, it's gonna buff the recoups. Overall, it's just a very strong ascendancies that buff everything we need in the build. In my opinions, the Ritualist is one of the strongest ascendancy that you can run on this particular setup. So I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier, but it will be pretty cool to just talk through the items while I'm AFK in the Simulacrum. So 2 birds, 1 stone kind of thing. I'll showcase the later half of the Simulacrums while just go through all the gears. And just a quick disclaimer before we start, this is not a cheap build. You can probably run a budget versions, but I haven't tested that out yet, and maybe more to come a bit later. I'm pretty sure it will work for less than what I am currently using, but at least to get you started, I'll just give details on all of my items, and in the written guide I will also provide a trade link so it's easier for you to find all the pieces, since a lot of people have been kind of asking for that. So yeah, I'm just gonna AFK in the background here. And the first thing here is we are using Guiding Palm of the Heart, and I briefly go through this in the introductions, but the main reason why we are using this is just for the Meteoric Shrine. So try to get one with this and 2 sockets so you can put in strength. Beside the Meteoric Shrines, there are also scepters for the lightning and cold damage shrines. but I find the Meteorite Shrines to be the most effective. Let me just quickly start the wave. Next up, we have Aziri Disdain. Now, on the helmet sockets, you get 12% recoup as life, and this is coming from the new Soul Core. I think it's new in 0.3, which is a part of the reason why this build becomes a bit stronger this league, in my opinions. And then you want to get one with 15% maximum life as extra ES. And, doesn't really matter on the rarities because we don't farm maps, and Simulacrums doesn't really care about rarities. So just get one with high amount of maximum mana. And finally, the 10% damage taken bypass ES will kind of count as flat damage reductions, mainly because we recoup so much ES and with the Sacred Sanctum and stuff. I'm just gonna keep interrupting a little bit here and there to pick up loots and go on the next wave, but it should be fine. And then we have Blood Barrier. So this is one of the ways for you to inflict Corrupted Blood as the initial Corrupted Blood to start the chain reactions with the Blood Boil. So once you just kind of block things and then monster will die, we will inflict a stronger Blood Boil, which will override the initial Blood Boil and do the damage. And you can see Coast is here. So if you are just fully AFK, it's fine. Otherwise, you can kind of drag the mobs to him and inflict like 10 stacks of stronger Corrupted Blood. So the block here doesn't really matter as much. But yeah, for this one, you don't really have to go for like an insane shield or anything. 50% is fine. Use the Chaos Resistance to cap out your Chaos Resistance, and blockchain doesn't really matter as much. Yeah. And next up, we have the Sacred Sanctums. In here, you can see I socket this with the mana taken before life, which is a part of our triple recoup setup. So if you have mana, you have flat damage reductions. 1 second here. I think the monster is not attacking. Oh, he has Proxima Tangibility and Regen, so it's a good time to swap to our single target damage setups, which is the zombie. So you just press X on the keyboard here, and you can kind of see that we swap weapons, and we are now having 4 zombie just burning down the rare monster. So yeah, this is bind to your weapon set 2 with a Chantumbre and a Scepter, which I'll go through in a bit. Essentially, the setups will allow us to have 4 zombie, and these zombie will burn down the enemy. So yeah, just let me pick up some loot here, and then we'll go to the next round. Just try to be fast here so we finish this. And then we have Discipline Scepters. Make sure you swap back, otherwise you're not going to be capped on fire resistance because we are relying on Purity of Fire. So if you don't swap back, you might die. Yeah, so back to Sacred Sanctum. What you're looking for is at least 10% of damage taken recoup as life. So max roll of this, high roll of Chaos Resistance. You don't have to go for cap. Spirit should be okay. You can see I don't even use all the spirit here, but this is one of the places where you could get spirits. The rune here and strength, intelligence, you don't even have to get good roll on armor and ES. We take this body armor mainly because the damage taken recoup as life is also recoup as ES, and this is the most important lie, which allow us to recoup ES as much as we recoup life. So we have 3 recoup going at once. We have recoup mana, life, and ES. Alright, next up we have the glove, which pretty standard. I'll say we just need a high amount of ES here with maximum life. So on all your pieces, you want to have good amount of maximum life. And then on here, I also get resistance as well. Dexterity doesn't really matter too much. And then for the boots, we have the rune sockets are also using the Soul Core to increase the speed of our recoup. So this is very strong. You don't have to get one like mine. It's just very expensive. You don't need move speed on here because we are just purely farming Simulacrum. So just get one with high maximum life, ES, and increase the effect of socketed items. This means that we're gonna increase the speed of recoups. And recoup speed is, I'm not sure how important it actually is because we just have so much recoup into the build already. So yeah. And then for the belt, we are using a standard belt. 1 second here. I'm just gonna pick this thing up and move on to the next wave. You can kind of see we can fully AFK and clear all the boss, no issues. So this is wave 13 already. Alright, so for the belt, what we are looking for is at least 2 charm slots, and then just maximum life, maximum mana, elemental resistant, chaos resistant, just so we need to cap all of our resistance, and that's pretty much it. Now, traditionally, we are using a Defiance of Destiny, but this is not really the case right now because we don't need Defiance of Destiny anymore. This amulet might be hard to find, but the most important stat on here is damage taken recoup as mana, and then damage taken recoup as life, and maximum life, maximum mana, spirit is okay. It's not 100% needed. And then you can get flat ES or just nothing at all. Just try to get one with double recoups and maximum life, maximum mana. That should be fine. I don't even think maximum mana is necessary. So yeah, this amulet is so much cheaper than getting a good roll of Defiance of Destiny. And for the announcement, we are taking Glancing Hit because Glancing Blow was kind of gone. So this is the new Glancing Blow, kind of. So it increases our block chance, and you take 5% of damage from block hit, which means that whenever we block, we also still take damage, and that way we still ramping up our recoup. And for the 3 of our ring, what I'm looking for on the ring is mainly a way to cap elemental and chaos resistant, and then you're looking for maximum mana, maximum life. Maximum life is the most important stat in this build because we don't get a lot of it. And with more maximum life, we also get a little bit more ES coming from the helmet. So overall, for the rings, maximum life, maximum mana if you can, cap your elemental resistant, chaos resistant, and that should be good. And then you can also try to get one with high roll of attribute as well. So the more strengths we have, the more corrupted blood damage we actually do because we have more life. And yeah, nothing else to be said. These rings can actually be cheap depending on what you're looking for. But yeah, try to get maximum life, mana, attributes, and cap out your resistance. And finally, we have the 3 charm, which usually, if you're taking the Ritualist Ascendancy notes to just kind of ignore charm charges when you have mana, then it can probably work. But for our setups, these are not really mandatory. We just kind of run whatever charm that I think is good. But yeah, it's not really mandatory, so just copy what I have. You don't really need this to stay alive. As a matter of fact, in our setups, we are so much stronger than the previous setups in 0.2 because we have a massive amount of maximum ES. As you can see here, we have 10k ES and 3k life, but while the previous setups we have like 3k life and 4k 5k ES atop. So yeah, this is like double amount of tankiness, and I'm pretty sure that no combinations of simulacrum modifiers can actually kill this character right now. And as a matter of fact, I don't even use any life flask, but if you are running a more budget setups, this is a new flask that was added in 0.3. Now, doing the effect of this flask, you get 30% recoup life during the effect. And because this flask don't have a duration, like it doesn't stop whenever your life is filled, which means that you can just have this run for like the whole 7 seconds durations on the flask, and you get a massive amount of more recoup on your life. And overall, it just helps you stay alive during those sketchy moments. This also should work for ES recoup as well, but yeah, I don't really need to use this flask because once again, this character is immortal right now in Simulacrum. I have pretty much run versus all the rippiest modifiers in Simulacrums and still stay alive. So this is the last wave, wave 15. Let's kind of wrap things up here. So for my Stoic Scepters, it has to be a rare Scepters to roll the +4 to minions. And the rest of the stats shouldn't matter too much. Just make sure you have enough spirit to run 4 minions. Socket this with the rune to improve the allies in your presence. It should affect the zombie. And finally, get the Chantimbre with 2 sockets for +30 to spirit. And this is pretty much our item setups. You can see it is very effective to stay alive. I have pretty much run simulacrums in 0.3 a lot. I've run at least like 20 or 30 of them, and I have never died once. And yeah, you can see I don't even have corrupted blood immunity. I don't have shock immunes or things like that. Everything just die very easy, and usually this is how it goes. A good simulacrums will net you tons of money, And yeah, with this item setups, you should be good to go. And I kind of forgot about the jewel setups, but this is the current jewel setups that I'm running. We are having Undying Hate over here. So this is one of the new keystone jewels that help us add Sacrifice of Flesh and taking damage, life loss. You can see the life loss is prevented. I didn't really show before, but it has like a red line over here that kind of show that. And yeah, that was the simulacrums, but we can just finish the item setup here. And then I am running a From Nothing Diamonds, and this allow me to get the Adverse Growth, damage taken recoup as mana taken before life, recoups over here, and 3% increased max life, mana, and ES. And also these gigantic minions for my second weapons swap. And then I also have a Heart of the Well here. So on the Heart of the Well, you can roll for increase speed of recoup effect and damage taken recoup as life. So these are the two most important stats. But if you can't get this on Heart of the Well, just simply use any of the jewels that give damage taken recoup as life. That should be fine as well. And finally, for the last jewels, I'm running the Megalomaniacs, and I really don't want to put Megalomaniac jewel in the build, but as with all the endgame build, it is almost mandatory. But because whenever someone make a guy and then have Megalo, it's always drive the price up, so I'm just gonna give you a lot of option here. So you would type in block, or like increase chance to block, right? Increase chance to block. And whatever show up right here, you would want the Megalo to hit these. And ideally, you can get two of them, or like, you don't have to get both of them like I do. There's diminishing return, so just getting one is good enough. But alternatively, you can also skip the Megalo completely and just get yourself a Sapphire with even more recoup as life. And that should technically be good enough because we don't have block cap and I don't need block cap to stay alive in the build. So this is all my items. It will all be listed in details with explanations in the written guide with the link to purchase the items. So make sure you check out the written guide after this. I will also provide a POB in the pinned comments and the description of this video as well. Next up, let's talk about our skills. Now, I'm running a level 21 Blood Boil coming from the physical masteries, but you will get a level 20 Blood Boil whenever you reach level 90. So the requirement for this, you can see, is level 90. So to at least run this character, you want to be at least level 90 to be able to run the setups. And with that, you get 5 Link for free on Blood Boil, which I run Brutalities for more physical damage, Prolonged Durations for the Corrupted Blood, and also Swift Affliction for damage over time, also affect Corrupted Blood, and Acrimony support, which reduce life regeneration rates of the enemies whenever they are getting debuffed by Blood Boil, which is almost all the time whenever they are entering our presence. For Purity of Fire, they're still kind of bug out, so you can run a bunch of support jammy here for free, which I'm currently using Strongheart, Cool Head, and Warm Blood, so we have less ailment durations on us. And I have Upwelling here as well to have the minions deal 50% increased damage while you're not on full mana. And because of our setup, we never really is technically on full mana, even though we recoup to full. So yeah, you just get 50% increased damage on your minions, which is pretty good. And in terms of minions, we are using Ravenous Swarm, which is the new minion type in our build right here. It is a persistent buff, and it kind of generates like a bunch of flies that attack the enemies. There's a limit of 3 active swarm, and in here you have Feeding Frenzy for more damage, Escalating Poison, so if you have 2 swarm out, it can inflict 2 poisons, and then Prolonged Durations, which affect the swarm duration, so you can have more out. And then Chaos Mastery to increase the level of the swarm, and Rapid Attack so they attack a bit faster. Overall, I find they do not a lot of damage, but it is just a part of the AFK theme. I'm not sure if this is a bug with the skills, or maybe you had to scale it differently, but if they ever buff the skills, it can feel pretty good on this build. And then I have Magma Barrier in here. It's mainly here so that I increase the block chance and nothing else. So it grants a 30% increase block chance. And we don't really use Magma Spray even though we can. It's an active skill, so whenever you block like this or parry, it's gonna do the Magma Spray. But yeah, once again, we don't really use the active part of this. And you can put Calling Strike, Charge Profusions, Fire Mastery in here. So whenever you want to call an enemy, you can actually hold down parry and it will call the enemy with the Magma Spray. But yeah, once again, I actually don't use it at all. So it's whatever gems that you want to put in here. And then we have Withering Presence. Now, this one gives Wither to enemies, and because Ravenous Swarm do poison damage, it kind of buff the Chaos part of Ravenous Swarms a little bit. So hopefully that works, but otherwise I really don't have any other like aura or skills to put in here. Maybe we can also run the double curse aura setups, but right now I'm not really doing that. For Withering Presence, I have Prolonged Durations and the Omen here. This is a new lineage gems that add +3 whenever you have another support. It's very expensive. And for minimal gain, I would say, because Withering Presence, I don't see it adds a lot of damage to the build. But yeah, I just want to spend my spirit, which is also, you know, optional in my opinion. And for our curse setups, we are running Enfeeble with Ritualistic Curse, Heightened Curse, and Magnifying Area. Pretty standard for curse setups. And because this is an AFK build and you want to stay alive, you want to run Enfeeble, and with our high intelligence, we are able to run this on level 19, which is good enough for simulacrums. And finally, we have Attritions. This is the gems that help us do more damage to rare and unique monster, which is usually what we have problem with. And this also gives Calling Strike against them, which is also pretty nice overall. But yeah, because we have the extra spirit, which is why I run this. Next up, we have the Spectre. So this is our weapon swap to do single target damage. You can kind of control how much Spectre you run on weapon set 2, which right now if I swap to this, I should have enough spirit to run 4. And make sure that you go down to 0 for this, so you have enough aura to run everything else on your weapon set 1. But that is kind of like how you set it up. And yeah, so for the Bogfelled Commoner, I'm running Infernal Legions, the most important gems, because it deals damage based on the Minion maximum life. You can see here, we actually have a lot more when we are on weapon set 2, 54,000 life. Yeah, Infernal Legions, 30% of their max life is good. We have Minion Mastery to add +1 more level to Minion skills. They scale, their HP should scale with level. Feeding Frenzy to do more damage, Searing Flame, and Ignite. And that is pretty much all I'm currently running. Now, I used to have the Corrupting Cry setups in here, but I cannot drop it because I find it's not being too useful. As promised, I'll have a small sections on how to capture the Bogfelled Commoner, which is one of the zombies that have a lot more HP than the normal Bogfelled Commoner. Where all the credits go to Oskric, because he was the one that I believe first discovered the Bogfelled Commoner, that this boss summons have more HP than the normal Bogfelled Commoner, and it's just very strong for this particular build. So in order to do this, you would go to the first zone of Act 3, fight this boss called Rootwretch, and he will summon a bunch of Bogfelled Commoner where you can use the Bind Spectre to kill them. So these are the one. And you want to make sure that you don't have any weapon equipped, and you want to bind them, and that's pretty much it. You can double check if the HP show is exactly this for level 19, that should be the correct one, and if it's not, then it should be around 5k. So yeah, make sure you unequip your weapons before you bind Spectre. And finally, for our passive skill trees, what we are looking for is having all of these attributes to be strength, and just enough intelligence and dexterity to equip skill gems and support gems. So yeah, pretty much all need to be strength so you can have as much life as possible. We are also pathing to take pretty much all of the recoup, which we used to not be able to do because we path down here, which is a lot harder for us because we have to go and path all the way up here. Now, the pathing gets a lot better because we get to just path up here, grab a bunch of ES node as well, so the build by itself is a lot stronger in terms of defensive. and we are using 2 weapon sets. Let me just go through here real quick. So if you want to go down here, graph these damage taken from mana before life, pathing to here, put an undying hit in here, and allocate this keystone to prevent 20% life loss. It's really good. And then we get a bunch of ES node over here. I try to grab as much ES node as possible. You don't need to be at level 95, but like I said, you should be at least level 90. And if you're not level 95, you can drop a bunch of these small ES node. So it's exactly 5 point, I think. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then for the weapon set, what I'm looking for on weapon set 2, you can see here, is pretty much all the minions maximum life node because it scales with Infernal Legion. So yeah, all of these are taken, and there's a small node over here with this from nothing that says Minion is gigantic, and it's pretty good. And then you take these 2 small nodes here as well. And then for weapon set 1 is pretty much all the mana recoups and some ES node. Mainly because whenever we swap to the weapon set 2 to kill single target damage, we don't need as much recoup. But yeah, that's pretty much the setups right here. All you need to do is follow my passive skill trees on the Mobalytics or in PoE if you don't like to use that. And there's exactly 5 of these small maximum ES nodes that if you want to run this right away at level 90, you can. Just make sure that you have a good and decent enough gear. This is the recommended stats that I was running, but you can very easily get by with about 3k life, 8.8k ES, which is something I had before, cap all your resistance. You don't need to have 40% chance to block like I have here. You can just get by with about 30% chance. That should be fine with all our setups. And then just have a decent amount of recoups as life, elemental damage, and stuff like that. All these stats will be included in the written guides just so you can kind of compare and see where could things go wrong if you do die in simulacrums. But yeah, this is everything I have for the videos. Make sure you check out written guides. I also provide a lot of details in there as well. Hopefully it is enough for you guys to get characters that is ready to tank an AFK farm Simulacrum 3. It can be quite profitable to farm Simulacrum depending on the price of the fragment or the Simulacrum Splinter. But otherwise, this character is fun in a sense that you get to do other stuff while playing this game or making currency, if that's your kind of thing. It takes a lot of tweak and optimizations to get your character to a point where you can safely AFK in Simulacrum 3. And I gotta be honest, it's quite satisfying as well. But with that, thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for 30k subscriber. And I'll see you in the next video.